Part 1 in this series of videos exposed my landlord Bob Ors as a German masquerader murderer and why he was able to deceive me for 14 long years. Part 2 video provided proof of his sadistic, wild nature from my emails that document my dealings with him and how he has made attempts on my life. This part 3 video provides additional details about my dealings with him from emails of complaints sent to him and his office or site managers. Hello friends, this is Unmasked Truth with Harmanjit Saini, where I provide unique analysis of world events based on the unmasked truth that after surrender, Germany continued World War II clandestinely and became a killing machine. I also provide true news that you will find nowhere else. In part 1 video, I explained how I came into contact with Bob Ors and his in-laws when I moved to Tampa, Florida from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, as we were all members of the same church and attended weekly services together. I also explained how I became a tenant in one of the apartment complexes owned by Bob Ors. Then I explained why I did not want to expose him as a German masquerader and a murderer to avoid being troubled more by him in retaliation. But my sources urged me to expose him. Then I explained why I was deceived for nearly 21 years about his true sadistic, murderous nature. The reason is that he appeared to be a very devout Christian as a member of my church. When I experienced trouble as his tenant, I did not attribute it to him, but to German masquerader national leadership who I thought were forcing my neighbors and others to trouble me and could not think Bob Ors as a Christian could do such things. In part 2 video, I chronologically described the experiences I've had as Bob Ors' tenant for 14 years. This part 3 video provides further proof of his wickedness with the emails I sent to him for the mistreatment and abuse I suffered. I will also explain the diabolical cunning he employed to use others to trouble me without suspecting him of orchestrating all the troubling events. Office or site manager Elaine Wade's daughter had moved in the apartment 5009. I live in 5011, which are adjoining units with a common wall between them and the even numbers being on the opposite side. So I moved to the apartment 509 next door around late 2013 or early 2014. She was unemployed but soon got a job, probably a call center job like mine, working from home. But then apparently she lost her job and made my life unbearable from then on. She also had her own daughter or another relative living with her for some time. I believe Elaine Wade's daughter was brought in to harass me and make attempts on my life. The first incident with the family occurred a few months after she moved in. On July 1, 2014, Elaine's granddaughter Brittany McConnell made an attempt on my life when she drove into my car in the parking lot next to my apartment when I was arriving from work at 6:45 p.m. and turning into my driveway. She was waiting in her car with her engine running. As soon as she saw me turn in, she drove straight for my car. Fortunately, her car hit mine near the passenger side front of my car. I escaped without serious injuries, but my car was damaged and had to be repaired. My next email is dated December 6, 2015. Bob at 5:05 in the morning today from the apartment next to me where Elaine's daughter lives, there was non-stop banging on my wall. It continued for 2 minutes. When it would not stop, I went and banged on their door to complain. The girl came out and yelled obscenities at me, saying I have a baby sleeping here. I had to yell back to tell her to stop banging on the wall and to respect her baby. Just wanted to let you know that this is a first. They bang around when I fall asleep in front of the TV and wake me up, but I have not complained about it. I have never banged or done anything in return. But this was non-stop loud banging. Just wanted to inform you. As I just finished writing this, the banging started again. I went and banged on their door 3 times. No one came out. Just want to let you know that a new form of harassment has started. Please intervene. If one person Bob should have been able to control is his site manager and her daughter living in the apartment complex, the fact that he did not is clear evidence that he was orchestrating all the harassment himself. As soon as I finished writing the email to Bob, office manager Elaine came and banged on my door around 5:20 a.m. on a Sunday. I sent an email to Bob immediately. Bob, Elaine came and banged on my door. I had a discussion with her. She asked me to leave them alone. I told her to ask your daughter to leave me alone and let me live in peace. This is a family affair, Bob. I've let minor irritations go by, but this was non stop banging. Later that morning, another email was sent. Bob, when talking to me, Elaine made some unwarranted comments such as, "Do you know what sex is?" The family appears to have planned this confrontation. I'll let it go and see. Let's see what they come up with next. I'll not confront them, but please discuss it with Elaine. Perhaps you can prevail upon her to convince her daughter not to harass me. I believe Elaine may have attempted to blow me up by wearing explosives on her body when she came to bang on my apartment door, or she may have attempted to shoot me dead. But I believe God continued to protect me. I believe Elaine's husband, who also lived there, had come many times to his daughter's apartment and probably attempted to shoot me dead through the apartment wall. Another email was sent related to the matter that Sunday afternoon. Bob, at 11:10 a.m., while I was sunning on my patio, Elaine's daughter came to tell me not to disrespect her mother. I told her that I was not the one who went to her. She's the one who came and banged on my door. Then, in the foulest language she could muster, she told me that she is going to do whatever she wants in her room. She said she was having sex and she's going to do whatever she wants, and I was not to come to her door. Of course, this was non-stop hitting the wall loudly for 2-3 minutes until I banged on their door to stop it and Elaine's granddaughter came out. Then, when I came back, she started again. When I banged again, that's when Elaine came after a few minutes and banged on my door. This was at 5 a.m., and at that time I was sitting at my computer in my bedroom reading something, but the noise was so loud that I was disturbed and irritated. I told Elaine's daughter that I would have no need to come to her door if she did not disturb my peace. All I want to do is live in peace and never disturb anyone. She told me again she is going to do whatever she wants in her room. Effectively, she has told me that she will disturb my peace whenever she wants and I could move if I wanted to. This is no different from the roofing guys who said they have a contract and can make whatever noise they want while working on the contract. With her lame excuse, she has effectively let me know that she and her daughter are not going to stop disturbing me. If she was having sex, I'm sure this is not the first time. Why then did I not hear any such disturbance in the past 2 to 3 years that she has been around? Bob, in my first 28 years in the United States, I moved about 28 times, and sometimes it was due to such disturbances. This is the first time I have had a stable place, and it took me 15 days to move. That is not a prospect anyone can cherish, and of course, I know the result. I will be forced to move again in a month or so. That's why moving is not an option. I need your help and intervention in this situation. I actually wrote this message 10 minutes after she came and yelled at me with her obscenities, but somehow my internet connection got lost, so sending it now. Now, after this incident, Bob issued me a notice of warning for disturbing the peace. He claimed that he had issued a similar notice to Elaine's daughter, but he probably lied to me. My next email is dated January 6, 2016. Bob, I have to complain about disturbance coming from the adjoining apartment occupied by Elaine's daughter and others. Since the warning issued to both of us, I believe again Bob lied to me about this. The noise never really stopped, but it was not at the same level as the one that caused me to react earlier. I thought the disturbance would stop, but it has not stopped in nearly a month. And I get woken up sometimes around 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. and even later when I fall asleep in front of the TV. They regularly make noise almost every day around 6 to 7 p.m. when I'm watching TV. It's irritating. The noise they make is sharp thuds or irritating music from probably a boombox with deep bass sound that kind of shakes up the building. And sometimes it is some electric appliance that makes an irritating noise. It's not the type of noise that one can continue tolerating. It's disturbing noise. I've been documenting the days and times they have made noise where it was disturbing. Besides the noise made daily, such as just one bang that can be easily tolerated. Here are the times and dates I noted that the noise was made. Then in that email, I document from December 11, 2015 to January 2nd, 2016, the dates and times the noise was made, probably about 12 to 15 entries. As you can see, the disturbance has not stopped. I've tolerated it, but all evidence so far shows that it is not going to stop. That's why I felt the need to complain, because I should not have to take this. Now, when masqueraders or their allies have deliberately caused accidents or harassed people by damaging their cars, our non masquerader side has found a very effective way to stop this. With threats, they have not allowed that person to ever drive again. That's what was done to Elaine's daughter, who drove her car straight into mine. Therefore, she was forced to move away from the apartment. She was not allowed to drive, and then she was moved to leave the apartment. Later, Elaine's daughter's car was vandalized. She understood the signals clearly and moved away probably in late 2016. Unit 5009 was then rented to a working man, though his wife and child uh, uh, lived separate from him, probably so that the family could qualify for medical and other benefits. But sometimes the wife and child spent the weekends with him. By this time, Bob had hired his nephew David Fike, who is Mike Fike's son, to be the resident maintenance person for the apartment complex. He was fully a child of the devil like Bob Orse himself and most of the Fike family, and caused me much trouble. Before I get to David Fike, I must document another diabolical evil Bob Orse had committed. He told me that code enforcement has informed him that he could not have a tool shed in one of the apartment units and had to construct a separate one. So he said he had the tree next door to my apartment cut and had a tool shed built about 10 yards away from my apartment. But that tool shed is held down just by some spikes on a foundation of 2 brick thickness on the 4 corners and a pair of 2 bricks in the 2 wide sides. It could easily fly off straight into my apartment during a hurricane. Bob Orse had the tool shed built because it could possibly take my life in even a Category 1 or Category 2 hurricane. The evidence is that he lied to me about code enforcement requiring him to not use an apartment for a tool shed but build one separate from the apartment. The fact is that he still has the tool shed in the apartment in addition to the new one constructed about 7 years ago, just 10 yards from my apartment. I asked code enforcement to inspect the tool shed if it was a hazard during hurricanes. The man from the county came and inspected it. At that time, when he came, I was just taking a seminar and asked him to stay for just 3 minutes as I would be finished, and then he can give me his assessment. But he did not stay and just drove away. My next uh, now my next email is dated September 9, 2017, when a hurricane was approaching Tampa Bay. Bob, there are some wood planks 1 inch by 4 inches lying near the tool shed that will definitely become projectiles during the hurricane. I think they should be put in the shed. I've been trying to call David, that's David Fike, but I always get a busy signal. I think we should move them into the shed Sunday morning. There are also some loose pieces that should be put aside. David Fike probably deliberately put them there so that they would become projectiles during the hurricane, but he did move them after I sent the email. My email of September 24, 2017 complains about David Fike not having replaced my bathroom sink faucet for the past 19 days after I had put in the work order as it had rotted. When he did, he changed the hot water faucet from the left to the right side. I'd had to get used to the new arrangement, an inconvenience for sure. Then in my September 28, 2017 email, I complain about the neighbor disturbing my peace. Bob, here I am complaining to you at 3:20 a.m. My neighbor has his car parked in the handicap space, which is just 5 yards away from my apartment, and keeps his car alarm and keeps having his car alarm go off at 15-minute intervals. He started around 2:20 a.m. and has not stopped. He has me wired up and I don't know if I'm going to be able to go to sleep for the rest of the night. He has done it a few times before, but tonight has been the worst. He has not stopped letting his alarm go off at every 15-minute intervals. I think this should be put a stop to once and for all. It is difficult to keep cool under such circumstances. After this incident, the neighbor in Unit 5009 moved out and was replaced by an elderly woman who was not working. By this time, Elaine Wade, the office manager, a white woman, left or retired and was replaced by a black woman, Sandra Ashley. The new tenant had all the free time to trouble me while waking me up at night, uh, at all times at night, preventing me from getting full sleep. My email of April 13, 2018 complains about that. Bob, I had complained to Sandra once before about my neighbor waking me up after 11 p.m. She did it again with a loud banging on Wednesday night, and she did it again on Thursday night. I was given a notice by Elaine when her granddaughter disturbed my sleep for many days, and I took matters into my own hand. This new neighbor should not be allowed to continue to disturb my sleep. On Thursday, she has kept up the disturbance from 6:45 p.m. to 7 p.m. when I was watching the news. Please take action to stop this. She probably does not work, but I still have to go to work every day except Saturdays. I don't disturb anyone's peace. These people should not be allowed to continually harass me. In my email of July 16, 2018, I describe another long standing problem. Sandra, Bob, my neighbors, I strongly suspect it is the one in Unit 5007, has been throwing plastic bags, paper cups, and other paper products in my enclosed area or around my unit. This has been going on for a long time. Pete, Sandra tells me his full name is Ralph P. or Pete Berry, a black guy. The guy who is supposed to pick up all this litter has never done so. The person who was supposed to be doing this before him did not do it either. Pete was the boyfriend of the white grandma who rented Unit 5009 when I moved in July 2009. I was to have an encounter with him later when he moved to Unit 5007. But continuing with the email, today morning I find that a plastic grocery bag containing something has been thrown on my patio. I have not handled all this litter myself because I don't know what the bag or the litter contains. It could be attempt to infect me with the HIV virus or some other substance. That's why I do not handle such things. There is a good reason why you have banned the husband or boyfriend of the woman in Unit 5007 from ever parking his white Nissan van again in the apartment complex. I have seen the man with my own eyes. Right in front of me, attached some sticky substance on paper on my fence. So I know for sure at least the persons in Unit 5007 are definitely doing this. He is one of those who planted explosives in his car to blow me up and my car when I drive to work in the morning. I have no proof that the neighbor in Unit 5009 is doing any of this. Please take action to stop these people from causing such problems and also instruct Pete to pick up this litter. He has the right tool to do this, whereas I would have to use my hands, which could cause harm if the litter is contaminated in some way. Then I have to also mention another thing about Unit 5009, where a woman who used to wear the hijab, so obviously she's a Muslim woman, used to live, and her husband was the one who had the white Nissan van. She once lured me into her apartment saying that she has a little kitten, born right and below the deck in her apartment, and she wanted my help to look at it and see what could be done to have the kitten removed. So she had me look at the kitten, and then she told me, "Please call Animal Control, Humane Society, and they can do something." So I called Humane Society, and then so she knew the solution. Instead of her calling Humane Society, she had me do it. But their motive was to make an attempt on my life. The reason is she's a Muslim woman, and obviously, if you talk to Muslim women, the husband would be mad. So that was a justification for the husband planting explosives in his van to try and blow me up, and then throwing things around. So this was probably another plot hatched by either the site manager or Bob Ors himself to give another pretext for somebody to murder me. Then in a September 13, 2018 email, I describe a new problem which may have been instigated by the office in connivance with the package delivery company. Bob, Sandra, I had a package of vitamins delivered to me yesterday. Not left at my door as usually happens, but by the tenant in 5017 at 8:30 p.m. He knocked twice on my door, woke me up while I was sleeping on my sofa. When I finally answered, "Who is it?" and came to the door to check who it was, he walked away saying my package was left elsewhere. My package from that company has never been left elsewhere. I have received approximately 35 to 40 packages from that company, and they always leave it at the door, my door. I believe the guy in 5017 picked it up and then gave it to me. I can only guess at his motives. I may be wrong about the person in 5017 picking up my packages, because later I saw the delivery woman actually go to apartment 5017 to deliver my package. I went and then pointed out to her that she was making a mistake by reading 5017 as 5011. She still delivered the package to 5017. More likely, the office conspired to have the delivery company deliver the packages to 5017, expecting him to tamper with them and possibly introduce poisonous contaminants or harmful bacteria or viruses. I ended up switching my supplier to end the problem. Then, in my email of December 31, 2018, I complained about the problems created by the maintenance man Bob Ors' nephew David Fike. "Bob, I usually complain about my living here only after I've seen a trend for more than a year or so. Here is what happened very recently. I had a shower this past Saturday, December 29, 2018, and the water was coming out of the shower just as it did for the past more than 9 years that I have occupied the apartment. Then I took a shower on Sunday, yesterday, and the water was coming out with very high pressure in a torrent. To conserve water, I usually shut the shower before lathering myself, but when that stage came, the tub had already started retaining water because of the speed and the quantity of the water. I examined the shower head. It was rigid and not adjustable, to make sure that it hadn't somehow readjusted because of the age of the shower head without replacement. I could be wrong, but it appears that the shower head was replaced on Saturday when I was at church services. Rest of the time, I did not leave my apartment till I had the shower on Sunday. It is a cause for concern for multiple reasons. First, someone entered my apartment without my knowledge and permission. It's a privacy issue, and I'll explain the reason why. Secondly, I'm trying to conserve water and my energy bill. Not that extra $1 on my energy bill and a couple of dollars on my water bill per month will break me. But when I heard the report on TV that the Tampa area sewers were overflowing to capacity because of water usage, I've been doing my best part in minimizing consumption of water and energy. Here is the trend I've been seeing since the time David Fike replaced Stephen as the maintenance man. You had guided me about replacing the aluminum foil correctly so that it does not create an arc and burn up the burner element. Since that, I had not needed to replace my bigger burner for a few years, but then it eventually burned out and needed replacement. David took at least 7 days to replace it. I thought nothing of it because it was just a small inconvenience to use the smaller burners instead, though cooking and warming took just a little bit longer. The large burner was replaced, but after 2-3 days, I noticed that one of the three legs of the burner was broken and that it does not sit raised, but sits at the bottom of the receptacle. The result is that it takes a little longer to cook and consumes a little more energy. But I've let that go as I did not want to complain. That is still the situation with the burner. But nothing that I did broke that burner because I would have noticed it if it had been something I did. I believe somebody entered my apartment without permission and switched the burner. And I guess my energy bill is perhaps $1 per month higher. My next incident occurred with the bathroom sink as the taps had rotted. Nothing untoward except that it took probably a week to replace them. And when David Fike replaced them, he put the hot water faucet on the right, which is not normal, and it needed getting used to. The next set of incidents occurred with the toilet. The toilet had stopped flushing altogether. After I put in the maintenance order, for 3 to 4 days I had to use a bucket to manually flush the toilet. That is the kind of harassment David Fike put me through deliberately. That's why I call him a child of the devil. Then you continue with the email. Then you remember I complained about my water bill being extremely high when I was gone for the feast, which is an annual church festival called Feast of Tabernacles, when I had gone there for 10 days. Then I figured out what the reason was. The day David fixed the toilet when I was at work, the water had been constantly running for 3 to 5 hours or longer, which caused the bill to be higher. Now my bill has come down to $15 per month from the $25 to $27 per month. Because of being at the Feast of Tabernacles for 10 days, my bill that month should have been less than $17 per month. I have not complained to you in any of these incidents except my water bill being high. My main problem is that someone appears to be entering my apartment without my knowledge and making changes. Here is the reason why I am concerned about the privacy issue. I am still quite old fashioned in my record keeping. Though I do use my contact list info on my smartphone and Google Contacts, I have a daily planner appointment book. I also note email addresses and passwords information in that book. The reason that is convenient for me is that sometimes I've had to go back a few years to note the dates of certain events to fill out Medicare and other types of forms. It's very convenient for me. That's why I have kept all these appointment books since 2003. I still have them. But about 4 months ago, my 3 3/4 inch by 6 inch 2018 appointment book vanished. It had all information on my contacts and passwords. I spent at least 5 to 6 hours over a few days searching for it in my apartment, but I never found it. It was a disturbing experience. The possibility exists that I could have left it somewhere outside where I may have taken it, but I called and personally went to places where I could have dropped it, such as Walmart and other places, but I never found it. It's possible that someone removed it from my apartment, but I cannot be dogmatic about this because I could have misplaced it. However, since I believe someone entered my apartment without my knowledge, that is very disturbing. Bob, I hate accusing people, but you can see I am doing it after a few incidents have happened. Privacy is an issue. I'm simply requesting you to look into it and ease my mind. Again, I'm not accusing, just requesting that the matter be investigated. In part 4 video, I'll explain more woes experienced as a result of harassment by the neighbor in Unit 5009, David Fike, the maintenance man, the office manager Sandra Ashley, and Pete or Ralph P. Barry, including invasion of my privacy. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please continue to watch my videos on important world events, World War III watch, politics, international business, how Bible prophecy is playing an important role in world affairs, advice on health and medical problems, and much more for in-depth and insightful analysis. Please also subscribe to my YouTube and Facebook channels Unmasked Truth with Harmanjit Saini to view and get information on the latest videos.